What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alisha if you're new here, and in today's video we are going to be sharing some of the things you might want to consider when you're looking for a suite. If you've been following me for a while, then you'll know that I was home based for 6 years doing eyelash extensions in my basement. I had it all set up, it was nice, it was real cute, but things changed in my life and I decided, you know what, I want to step outside of my home and I want to rent out a suite. And so there was a bunch of things that I thought about that was important to me that I wanted to consider in my pursuit for a suite. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So the very first thing is the location. So the location is twofold. One, you want it to be conveniently located for yourself, but you also want it to be conveniently located for your clients. Now, for yourself, if you are moving into a situation where you're renting out a suite and you were home based, then guess it can be expensive. If you go from not really leaving your house for work or not leaving your house at all for work and then having to rent out a suite, then that commute travel time is gonna matter, but also the gas that it's gonna take for you to get back and forth is gonna matter as well. So that's something to consider because that is going to increase your expenses. But then also you wanna think about your clients as well. You wanna be somewhere that is conveniently located. In my case, I found somewhere that was kind of the middle point for my clients because I know them, right? I've had lots of my clients for quite a few years, and so I know the distance that they travel to see me, and so I was able to find somewhere that was conveniently located for them. I had people coming from east, west, south, north, and so from my house, my suite is about 15 to 17 minutes away, and so it was not that big of a deal for me to travel to my suite on a day-to-day basis, and it also wasn't a big deal for my clients. They actually like it better because there's a freeway that you can use to get to my suite, not to mention it's on a busy street, and so there's tons of other things in the area for my clients as well. Now for me it was kind of bittersweet because one, I'm leaving home, but two, I got a Target down the street, there's tons of places to eat, and so it's nice, but it does increase the expenses, and so those are some of the things that you want to think about. The next thing is the environment, and so what does it feel like? For me, it was very important to have a space that was very relaxing because that is what I've also created in my home for my clients. Depending on what you do, you might want to create that vibe as well. So as an esthetician, I do facials, I do waxing, I do lash extensions. Lash extensions is my primary service that I do literally every single day. And so for my clients, I like to create an atmosphere based on them. My target audience is working women. So a lot of times my clients are either before work, they're coming during their lunch break, or they're coming after work, which means they just want to relax, you know. And so I wanted to make sure that I was still able to create that environment for them. We have music playing. Most of the time they're falling asleep. And so again, I felt like it was important to kind of scope out the scene. I came up here a couple times during different times of the day to see, is it loud? I also asked the property manager, you know, about that, and so he told me like, oh, don't you worry, it's very quiet in the part that I'm gonna be at. And so I felt like that was one of the important components for looking for a suite. Also, you want to think about, is it clean outside, the parking lots out front? Is it nice? Are people coming in to trash on the floor? What does the bathrooms look like? And so I took all of that into consideration when I was picking out my suite, because again, I wanted to be in a professional environment. I wanted to be in a clean environment. I wanted my clients to feel comfortable and safe when they came to see me for their appointment. And then when we talk about the environment too, if you're renting out a suite, you might want to think about who else is also renting a suite near you. Do you want to be around other hairstylists? Do you want to be around other estheticians? Thankfully, I am in a building where there's primarily hairstylists renting out the suites that are around me, and so it's nice because they do recommend their clients to me when they're looking for esthetician services, so facials, eyelash extensions, or maybe even brow waxing or Brazilians. And so I found that to be pretty cool because I've been able to increase my clients just based on the referrals from some of the other women that rent out suites around me. Before I hop into the next one, I do want to say that these are not really in any particular order because the next thing we're going to talk about is the rent, and I feel like that is a very high priority on the list. You want to find somewhere that is super affordable for you, especially like me. I was moving from a situation where I was home based, and so I did not have to pay extra for my overhead for rent because I was inside of my home. And so I wanted to make sure that it was going to be affordable for me. And so you want to think about that price point. You want to think about the average that you make per month or per week, and you just want to make sure that it makes sense for your business. You don't want to pay out for your business expenses, your rent, and all of that, and then have nothing left for profit. You also want to think about the rent frequency. busy. So are you going to be paying weekly? Do you prefer monthly? So definitely those are some of the questions that you might want to ask. I pay weekly and I'm okay with that because I kind of look at my income on a weekly basis because it does change from week to week. Hell, it changes from day to day. But what I factored in is at the end of each week, will I make enough to be able to pay my rent as well as pay out for any expenses and then also pay myself. And then also you want to make sure that you're asking about the security deposit. What does that look like? Do they want months in advance? Do they want weeks in advance? Do they need anything? So those are some of the questions that you want to ask because you want to make sure that you have enough money to go in with, and you want to make sure that you have enough money saved so that you can pay future weeks or future months of rent, if that makes sense. The next thing is contract terms. So for me, this meant a lot because I didn't want to lock myself into an agreement for 6 months or even a year if I didn't know if I was going to want to stay there. So for me, my move was very personal. If you're not familiar, my daughter passed away in October of last year, and so right around the December mark, I decided, you know what, I want to move out of my house. I don't want to interrupt the peace that I was trying so hard to create in my home. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to step out and I'm going to rent a suite. So with that being the case, like I said, I didn't want to lock myself into anything. So the suite that I was able to rent out is on a week-to-week basis. I'm not locked into a contract. Amen. And so I could basically leave at any time. They do want like 1 to 2 weeks in advance, but it's not something where if I wanted to leave before 6 months or before a year, then I got to pay a bunch of money. I'm breaching a contract or anything like that. So that was probably one of the most important things for me because it allowed me to try it out and see. And then if it didn't work, I could move back home. No questions asked, no harm, no foul, and everybody will be okay. And then another thing you definitely want to look for is if you're a licensed esthetician like myself, there are some requirements that vary state to state that describes or maps out what you need to have inside of your space. Sometimes you have to have a separate door or you have to have a sink inside of your room. So whatever that looks like for your state, you definitely want to make sure that you are abiding by those requirements because you don't want your license to get taken, and you just want to make sure you're in line with what is expected of you under your license. So definitely check out your state requirements. Like I said, they vary from state to state. I'm in Michigan, so I made sure that everything was in alignment because I didn't want any issues. And then last but not least, think about any personal preferences that you might have. So for example, for myself, I really didn't know how important a window was for me until I actually started looking and I was checking out different suites. And so some of the suites that I looked at, they were cute, they were nice, but they didn't have a window. And so for me, it was like, I didn't want to be trapped inside of a room all day with no window, just 4 walls. I feel like I would go crazy. But also for pictures, for my content, I wanted to make sure that I had natural lighting coming in instead of artificial lighting. I just felt like, you know, why not have a window? So when I saw my suite, I was like, you know what, that is it, that is perfect. I got some natural lighting coming in, I can look out the window. It just makes for a better environment for myself. And so that was just a personal preference. Again, you may not need a window and that may not matter to you, but you definitely want to think about, you're sitting in a room all day, you're taking clients back to back, what are some of the things that you want to have inside of that room, and make sure that you write those down when you're looking for a suite for yourself. All right guys, so yeah, that was it. I just wanted to share a few things that I felt like was super important when looking for a suite. I know that it can be very tough and scary when venturing out into your own, trying to find a space and things of that nature. You definitely don't want to get locked into something and you're not happy with it. So these are some of the things that I felt like is important. If you like this video and you want more content like this, definitely give me a thumbs up. Watch some other videos if you like. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video.